Okay, let's just think about this for a second. What if all that money your company is pouring into training, what if it's not just another expense, but maybe your single biggest missed opportunity? Today, we're going to explore how you can transform corporate training from just a forgotten line item into an absolute powerhouse for growth and innovation. This is the kind of question that probably keeps a lot of leaders and HR managers up at night. I mean, you're investing all these resources into developing your people, which is great, but are you really seeing a return on that investment? Are those programs actually building the skills your business needs to win? Well, for way too many companies, the answer to that is a pretty frustrating no. It turns out they've fallen into what we can call the corporate training trap. You know the one, where all these good intentions just pave a road to nowhere. So, what does this trap really look like day to day? And wow, look at the difference here. It's a tale of two worlds, really. On one side, you've got that traditional training model. It's usually pretty generic, totally disconnected from what the business is actually trying to achieve, and it's treated like a one-time thing. You go, you sit, you forget. It's just a cost with no clear return. But on the other side, that's a whole different mindset. We're talking about strategic capability building. It's targeted, it's continuous, and it's a measurable investment in where your company is headed. And that right there is the core of the problem. When your training isn't directly linked to your big picture goals, you just end up with these fragmented skills all over the place. The programs don't actually fix the real gaps that are holding you back. It's kind of like trying to build a house with a random pile of wood and nails, but no blueprint. It's just not going to work. So, okay, how do we escape this trap? Well, it all starts by completely reframing what the goal is. We have to move away from just doing training and start embracing a concept that's way more powerful and, well, integrated. And that concept is called capability building. Look, this is so much more than just teaching someone how to use a new piece of software. It's about systematically making your entire team stronger, better at adapting, at innovating, at leading. It's what makes growth not just a one-time thing, but something that can actually last. This quote really gets to the heart of it. Real capability building isn't some separate thing you do on a Tuesday afternoon. No, it's woven directly into the fabric of how your organization grows and evolves. It literally becomes part of your culture, not just another meeting on the calendar. Okay, so the big question is, how do you actually do this? Well, the Program Matters framework breaks it all down into 6 essential pillars. Think of them as a roadmap for building a really effective capability building engine inside your company. And here they are. These are the 6 pillars that create the foundation for a super powerful learning engine. So let's dive in and take a closer look at how each one of these really works to transform your organization from the inside out. All right, so the first 2 pillars are all about laying a solid foundation. First up, strategic alignment. This just means that every single training initiative has to be directly mapped to your big picture priorities. So, for example, if your company's big goal is to expand into a new market, your training should be all about cross-cultural communication, not some generic management course. Then you've got skills assessment and gap analysis. This is where you figure out exactly who needs that training and what skills they're missing. So you're not just throwing money at a problem, you're solving it with surgical precision. Okay, so once that foundation is in place, the next step is to build a learning experience that people actually want to be a part of. And that's where customization and modern methods come into play. I mean, forget one size fits all. That idea is totally outdated. We're talking about creating tailored learning paths that meet people exactly where they are, whether they're a brand new hire or a C-suite executive. And you do it by using a mix of everything: classroom, digital tools, on-the-job coaching, whatever it takes to make sure the learning actually sticks. And finally, we have the safeguards. These last 2 pillars make sure your program isn't just effective, but that it's also sustainable and secure. So governance and accountability, this is all about proving the value of what you're doing with real data. Think dashboards that track progress and ROI in real time, so everyone knows it's working. And then risk management is all about being proactive. You train your team on critical stuff like cybersecurity before a crisis hits, not after the fact. So when you bring all 6 of these pillars together, well, that's when the magic really happens. The outcome is genuinely transformational. You're not just training employees anymore. You are actively building a future-ready team. And honestly, the results really do speak for themselves. You end up with a workforce that's agile, that can actually adapt to change. You get a team that's confident because they have the skills they need. You build a stronger leadership pipeline from within. You're more compliant, more resilient. This isn't just about training anymore. It's about building an entire organization that's ready for whatever comes next. This really sums up the whole transformation, doesn't it? You go from a workforce that's reactive and full of skill gaps to one that's proactive, agile, and confident. Your training goes from being this fragmented, generic thing to something that's aligned and super targeted. And maybe most importantly, you go from having no idea what the ROI is to seeing measurable, strategic success. So, when you boil it all down, what this is really about is a fundamental shift in perspective. It's about stop seeing your people and their development as just a line item on a budget and start seeing them as the absolute core engine of your organization's success. And that is the key takeaway right there. The whole goal is to elevate learning from this routine, often ignored activity into a core strategic capability for your business, one that gives you a real, sustainable advantage over everyone else. And so that leaves us with one final, really critical question to think about. I want you to take a hard look at your own organization. Is your training just another cost center? Or are you actively building it into your greatest competitive advantage? The choice really is yours.